Welcome to the War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com/Zoom.
5 o'clock, July 10th, 2022, 911 War Room. Thanks for being here. Pardon, I'm a little rattled. I was locked out of my house here for half an hour and just got in 15 minutes ago. So that was fun, but I digress. You guys are going to have to go through the news with me because I didn't get a chance to look through all the news. One thing that I did say that I wanted to start, and I have started, although I didn't get to research any of it, the different avenues of litigation currently going on right now. We'll come back to this. I do want to start off with the news. So I did start looking into it a little bit. This one happened, I believe, yesterday. No, 5th of July. U.S. settles lawsuit alleging abuse of men detained after 9/11. So there were some gentlemen held in New York City. This is outside of Guantanamo Bay. 6 men who filed suit were held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and they were abused. The men, I can't say the names. The last name's Abbasi, Mahmoud, Benada, Khalifa, Hamuda, and yeah, that last one begins with a B.
Eritrea.
Nice.
Eritrea.
They were beat, sleep deprived, racial and religious slurs. They had their heads smashed into a wall where the guards had pinned a T-shirt with a picture of an American flag, so that these colors don't run. This is a street artist, basically speaking out against it, and I'd never heard any of this. More than 1,000 were arrested in the sweeps across the New York metropolitan area and nationwide. Most were charged only with overstaying visas and deported back to their home countries. I imagine that was the dancing Israelis there. But they say they name every nationality except, oh, here we go. And Muslim, Arab, and South Asian men were rounded up in the days and weeks after the September 11th attacks. Nothing about Israelis. So, yeah, this is troubling. Which I thought they were talking about the Guantanamo guys, because I was trying to get an update on that, which I might as well segue into that since we're talking about this. These men abused. I was trying to get a key on an update on the military trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed at Guantanamo Bay. The last that I saw was this news article, if I can find it. As of March 21st, 2022, this is the latest that I could find. The prosecutors are exploring plea deals in the 9/11 case. Hi, David. Thank you for being here. The prosecutors were exploring plea deals in the 9/11 case. This is after 20 years. I mean, these guys haven't even seen the trial yet. They're still 20 years later, and they haven't even been put on trial. Abused, tortured. Now they're looking to say that they served their sentence because they underwent such torture. That's amazing. 20 years they've been tortured and not even put on trial, and now they might just get a plea deal from this. The victims' family members, I believe, said that they feel like they've served their time after being tortured, which is crazy. So that's on the Guantanamo 5. Let me go back to new news. Nebraska 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb to remember honored 9/11 first responders is going to be happening this Saturday. Nope, today. At 8:30 a.m. It already happened. Well, good for those people. This is in Nebraska, an annual stair climb. Retired 9/11 FDNY firefighter meets bone marrow donor who saved his life. That was Sal Parisi. That's good for him. And then now that's when I ran out of time. David, you didn't get to hear that I locked myself out, so I didn't get a chance to do my new news that I was going to do. So I'm just going to read down these with you. Miller Keystone to host 9/11. If anybody wants to open any of these up and discuss them further, please let me know. Keystone to host 9/11 exhibit with a goal of 343 blood donations to honor responders. We covered that one. Video, Middletown welcomes 9/11 survivor tree clone from New York City parks, now planted Middletown World Trade Center Memorial Gardens. Applications open for post 9/11 veterans to receive bonus check. This was good. I guess we didn't talk about this last week. Maybe we did. Not if it came out 4 days ago. 9/11 photo wall is now complete after the missing picture added at the National Museum. I will open this one up. Mention this gentleman's name. Antonio Dorsey Pratt, one of 20 staff members working for Cantor Fitzgerald Food Service on the 101st floor. He was the last picture of the 2,977 victims. I would love to see a completed picture of that wall. So if anybody has any lead on that, that would be great. New York City Mayor Adams to work with reps Maloney and Nadler about what City Hall knew about Ground Zero toxic air. That's new as of yesterday. Journal Square 9/11 Memorial will remain despite construction of Twin Towers. I'm not sure what that problem with that was. I don't want to. I think the rest is going to start getting into baseball scores and things. Yelling Ground Zero vet urges other sick 9/11 responders to file New York claim. I'm amazed that these people haven't been more in force in becoming something more powerful and fighting back. Hilliard police asking public to respect first responders park, remembering 9/11 victims. And yeah, I think that's it. Now we're just getting into repeats and we're going to get into baseball scores. All right. Outside of that, the other new news from Dan Hanley was, I had it open. There we go. He has a trailer out. He's going to be putting out a documentary called Advent of the Ninth Crusade. And there's a 12-minute trailer. If anybody hasn't seen it, I'll put the link in the chat. I guess he's going to try a different angle on this. As told from 9/11 pilots. So I didn't watch it. I don't know if anybody else has watched this yet to comment on it. Every single screen I'm picking on is going black. Come on, give me something. So I don't think he's going to be specifically getting into anything with the pilots. It looks like it seems to be more geopolitical. So we'll see how that works out. And lastly, I didn't get a chance to hop over. Did Richard interview anybody?
He tried to interview Captain Patterson and that didn't work.
Yes, that is right.
And on Tuesday, I don't know, because that was Thursday with Patterson. On Tuesday,
Pierce Robinson.
Yeah, Pierce, that was very lagged. That was
Yes.
That was the week before.
Okay. So then it was Captain Patterson. This is the gentleman we actually met downtown. Captain came out, spoke very prominently, carried a World Trade
Downtown
Center.
New York.
Yeah, thank you. Downtown New York, carried a very prominent sign about Building 7, was very outspoken about Building 7. And I couldn't get him to answer. We couldn't get him to answer. Chris Joya talked to him briefly. And then Richard said, well, I've never heard of him. And I said, well, give him your number. And we gave Richard Captain Patterson's number, and I guess they spoke 2.5 hours, and that preceded this. And when they were getting ready to do the show on, I think, Thursday or Friday, there was like a 10-second lag. So they opted not to do it, postpone it, I believe, to next week, because Richard's in the Red Pill Expo this weekend.
Right. And Richard did say that he was going to try to rein in Captain Patterson's vocabulary, as he is very colorful in his language. So it might be an interesting podcast to watch.
Yep.
And we'll see what he has to say.
And I'm just mentioning this because I know I respect my brothers that want to be purists. So I don't want to get into the COVID thing, but Richard is going to be there this weekend, the Red Pill Expo. He got invited. So he's the lone 9/11 voice and a bunch of doctors. I think that's pretty remarkable for us being able to speak out to other platforms.
I don't
No?
think so. I think you're getting it confused. He was at a medical convention where he was the only one talking about 9/11 with doctors, but I think the Red Pill Expo is a lot more general than that. It has all kinds of fields.
Isn't it Griffin that does that?
Oh, here we go. G. Edward Griffin, yes, he is the founder of it. And I don't know anybody else. I don't know if anybody knows anyone else. Seems like all doctors.
Oh, maybe, okay, maybe you're right then. No, there's a lawyer down there.
There's a lawyer. So that's what he's doing this weekend, wrapping it up probably today. And not really 9/11 related, but kind of. Sandra paid a visit last week down here in Pittsburgh. We hung out for a week. That was very, very cool. Got to do Kennywood on the 4th of July. So she left Canada on Canada Day and came down here to celebrate 4th of July with America, rode roller coasters.
I like your license plates.
Yeah,
And the
thank you.
license plates.
Yep.
I'll tell you one thing, Americans love their country. Every second house had a flag out there. It was it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
It depends where you go.
All right.
Maybe
And the time of year.
also.
Yeah, true. Anyone else?
Flag waving can have different meanings. And one of my associations that's not so positive is the whole love it or leave it thing back in the Vietnam era that sort of put a different slant on the whole, wave your flag type of thing for me. So I'm a little cautious on just, going that route.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to feel the same way.
And I should have gotten another ticket, but I didn't in time. But I did get to go to the Roger Waters concert with my son last Wednesday, and he's basically, I don't agree with all his stances. Of course, we all don't agree on every stance, but for the most part, he's trying to wake people up, saying, these elites, we'll call them elites, parasites, are doing some damage, and we need to start doing something. And he was really rattling the cages, and it was really heartfelt because there was one point in the concert where he said, I want to thank you. And I yelled at the top of my lungs in the arena, no, thank you. And he yelled back, no, thank you. And the guy behind me said, he heard you. Which to my son said, yeah, Sandra, you know how my dad's voice is. And she nodded. Yeah, so I can belt when I need to.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? New 9/11 news.
Well, I sent you an email, you and Sandra. I don't know if you picked it up yet, but Chris Gruner in our group has a friend who is a anti-war activist, big time. And it was just an interesting conversation between the two of them that made me realize that there's fertile ground there, because he basically won him over and had been very, he sent him the Papa website and the Richard Gage's videos of the convention, the NFPA convention. And so speaking to my point last week when I said there are left-leaning anti-war people out there that really need to be contacted by what we're doing. And I get the feeling that, that's not happening. And it's a subject that is kind of near and dear to my heart. And I'd love to reach out to any of the anti-war groups that are out there. And I think we have a whole barrel of new information that, they need to see. And what got this guy interested was, the difference between the NIST report and what the NFPA had to say. and it sort of spoke to him in a way that, you know, he sort of started asking more and more questions. Anyway, you can read it when you see it, but and the only other thing I have is Eric Lawyer. I spoke with him a couple of days ago, or actually, I think it was Friday or Thursday, and he's on a camping trip, but I'm going to talk to him again about that letter that we have to get out to the firemen, and that's critical, because
Yep.
the more time goes by, they're not even going to remember.
Yeah, you don't want them to get disconnected. You want to grab them while they're still like,
Right.
yeah.
So that's
Yes.
all hands on deck for that one.
Ready to send them.
Yeah, we all are, yeah, I think.
The letter's all addressed and stamped,
Yeah.
the envelopes.
I sent Chris a Sanders' very well constructed letter, and his response was he thought it was great, but he really needs to hear from Roel and Eric about what they want sent out, because, you know, basically they're the leaders of the Papa associate or alliance. So anyway, that's where
Well,
I'm at
Al,
with that. Yeah.
I mean, is that letter going to be signed individually by people, or is it going to be Eric's and Roel's name on it? Because if it's your own letter, I mean, before you wait another 6 weeks to hear from them,
Right.
you know, and what if it doesn't happen, then might
Yes.
as well just, you know, take what I sent you, adapt it into your own words and add whatever you think is important, or take out whatever you think is not, and just send your own. I mean, it's still better than nothing.
Yeah,
And
well, if
if
it
you
comes to
produce the
that,
letter, then send it to the rest after.
I agree if it comes to that, but I mean, wait until I talk to Eric and see where they're at, because I mean, he claims that, you know, they'll have it. So I don't know when, but
Right.
it's been too long already.
It's
So,
been yeah, it's starting to get a bit long, yeah.
right.
Mike
So,
Sarzano and Ray, thanks for being here. David, I'm not sure. Are you familiar with what they're talking about with this Papa Alliance and Eric Lawyer and Raul Angulo?
I know Eric's involved with the firefighters. I don't know about what the other thing is. you
This is a
mentioned.
whole new
So
thing.
here's my little 30-second synapse. There's a National Fire Protection Association convention in Boston this year where Eric Lawyer came out of the side, whatever this word I'm trying to look
Out of the
for.
woodworks. Yeah, but
Woodwork.
Richard went to go get him.
Thanks. I couldn't.
Think-
Anyways,
think
Richard's the one who pulled
termites.
them out.
he came out and he brought Raul Angulo, which is a captain, Seattle firefighters for 20 some years. He wrote a book, Fire Prevention Tactics or something, 4th edition.
Yeah, fire, you know, what they do when they get to a fire scene, I forget the exact title, but right on target, yeah.
And chapter 15 was on high-rise fires. And he said, well, ever since sudden building collapse, we can't be sending firefighters in. So now we have this Trojan horse, if you will, to be able to come in and say, look, the NFPA needs to address this. And by what NIST has found, because we can't send firefighters into burning buildings that are going to fall down for no reason. That's
Well, hold on. So back up for a second. So we
right.
found out that there was going to be a convention in Boston. Jean got the email about it, threw it at Richard and me. I'm thinking Boston. I'm thinking immediately. I'm thinking of Al. So we threw it at Al, and it was just going to be a Boston 9/11 Truth Initiative to begin with. And then Richard, well, it's like, no, we need to go at this from a different angle, because it's a firefighters convention. Like Jean said, like go in as a Trojan horse, basically, and address, not even talk about 9/11, just we're going to talk about building safety and how the whole code has to be rewritten. He's right. And so Richard drew in Eric Lawyer, who drew in Captain Raul Angulo. And so those three were basically the leading figures at the convention. Gail came, Al was there, Lawrence was not there, but Lawrence helped a lot with all the behind the scenes stuff. Anyways, there was a Boston 9/11 Truth Initiative, but with these guys in the foreground. And they were at the convention for 3 days and were basically bombarded with questions from people who, were intrigued by what they had to present. And yeah, so there you see some of the video, and was incredibly successful. So now what Eric Lawyer did was he created an organization called
Let's pause 1
Protecting-
second. It's 5:20. I just want to take a break real
sorry.
quick. Every day, 5:20, just take a break to put out a good vibe for those that aren't Christian. I am, so just bear with me for a second. Lord, thank you so much for these souls that continue to battle for 9/11 justice. I just ask you would continue to guide our paths, whichever way we go about this. Lord, that you would hedge a protection around every one of us, Richard and Gail at the Red Pill Expo, the Lawyers Committee, and all the litigation, Lord, that we could truly see justice in our lifetimes. We thank you for all this and these wonderful people. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Continue. Sorry.
Well, that's it. It was just to explain. So now this new organization basically is called PAPA. It's Protecting All Protectors Alliance. And it's kind of like a big tent under which they want to bring in all the because the firefighters are all over the place. So they did work hand in hand with Paul Cayley, who's the firefighter of Firefighters for 9/11 Truth on the British side. And we were in touch with Christopher Joya. He was in the loop. So it's really important kind of to bring all these firefighters together. And we're hoping that PAPA will be the tent under which they can do it and make some progress from that particular angle.
Much better. She filled in the details rather well.
Filling in the blanks.
So that happened, and now we have a new method, I guess, for getting this addressed. And I really like it, and I think Al and Lawrence agree, and Sandra Ross. Yeah. So this is a way that we might be able to break through. And Raul Angulo has said that he's not dying on this hill. This isn't his thing, but he is going to. Their new NFPA code, is it 1700? Specific, I think it's 1700.
Yeah.
Deals just with high-rise fires. So he was going to dig into that and see if he can have any impact. So this is great. I love it.
Yeah, and they collected what, 300 signatures, I think.
Right,
So
right.
these are the people that Richard and Eric want to follow up with, because they were intrigued enough to put their names, with their contact information to be kept in the loop. So clearly we don't want to let that chance go by. And that's why Al is insisting, or not insisting, but Al is talking about the importance of this letter, to not let too much time go by before they, to not give them the time to disconnect from whatever they learned.
Now, if they would just share this wonderful high school physics teacher's free fall acceleration video. But yeah, once you see 7 fall, that just, so there was nothing on the banner that said anything about 9/11. They just said Solomon Building, I believe. Solomon Brothers Building.
Yeah, it was kind of like an afterthought when someone asked, said, well, when did this happen? They're, oh, well, that happened on, September 11th, I think.
And they were right beside the food court, I guess. So it couldn't have been a better spot.
Yeah.
And the bathrooms.
And
Everyone gotta go.
good stuff.
Seems like there's a potential issue in presenting, we need to have new regulations because of fires can bring the buildings down. It's a tongue-in-cheek argument, and it's just a setup for anyway. So it just seems like it's a backdoor approach,
Absolutely.
but it takes some finessing to actually turn it around to the actual argument down the line. I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable with that approach, other than the fact it can, it might get people's attention. But
This is one of the few
takes some
things that is
follow-up.
not speculative.
What?
That's one of the few, events that occurred on that day that's pretty much non-speculative to the greatest percentage.
No,
What
but I
is
think David's talking
non-speculative?
about the tactic.
About the collapse of building number 7.
Oh, of course that. I'm just saying, for them to say it's caused by fire, therefore we need new regulations, is actually playing on irony, because that's really not our message.
Right.
But it's definitely a way of getting people interested.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course,
guerrilla.
And
it's a come on,
Yeah.
but it takes, you know,
Guerrilla
you can't
tactic.
just leave it as, it's not a one-shot
Right.
thing.
That's
Well,
why we're looking at this letter as a start to get to all the firefighters, you know, the grassroots firefighters. Me in particular.
according to the English firefighter Kylie, the whole subject of going into buildings and setting up command centers, they had real problems with that because a lot of the firemen said, no, you know, it could be subject to sudden collapse. And so it's a real issue for these guys and the firemen and, you know, the basic guys, you know, are gonna wanna know, you know, is it safe or isn't it? And I don't see it as a backdoor entry.
Yeah, they're right.
It's
Well, it is because they have to then get into the actual question is, was fire the real cause?
Yes.
But that's where it creates the pressure on NIST to, it's gonna have to be either or. They'll have to prove that it's safe or prove that it's not. And they're not about to rewrite the whole guidebook on safety, so the pressure is gonna be on NIST
Right.
to reevaluate what they consider the danger. So that's where the backdoor thing comes. And the backdoor also comes in handy because it catches people being less defensive.
Mhm.
You know, because some of them, as soon as they hear 9/11, as soon as they hear anything conspiratorial, they have their defenses up. But now to present it as an issue, a
Mhm.
safety issue, people will more, you know, be more open to listening, to looking, to seeing, weighing what is actually being presented. And then the 9/11 thing becomes second tier, if you will.
David, if you're familiar with Paul Cayley, he goes by
Yeah,
Paul
I know
Simon.
him.
Okay. So he
We
wrote
interviewed
this.
him.
Oh, he wrote this. Yes, that's right. He was one of the firefighters. So he wrote this sudden building collapse paper, 42 pages. Eric Lawyer spearheaded this, creating this website, protectingall.org, protecting all protectors alliance. And it's all about building 7, I guess.
I'd like to mention that at the conference, at the trade show, one of the officials from the National Fire Protection Association came to one of the people at the pop-up booths and said, "We know what you're doing. Keep on doing it." So, I mean, it's reaching people, and these are people that, you know, these are the people that were most affected, and that once they see what they haven't looked at, what they haven't been able to look at, haven't been presented with, it's, you know, it's I don't know, it just seems to be the only way left to bring this to the public, is the people that were most affected by it knowing the truth.
Not the
And it's
only, but it's definitely a refreshing new way of
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
And it's a safe way for them to be vocal. It's a safe way for them to speak up and not be accused of any hidden agenda, which of course there kind of is, but
And it is based on firm science.
Mhm.
yeah, but it always was.
Yeah, it always was.
It always was, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, well, it was, but people just believe the bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking about firefighter safety, I mean, I don't know how more pointed you can get. One of the Raul Angiulo, who's friends with Glenn Corbett, who is the guy that basically, I think, what was it, the 1700 NFPA report,
Yes.
who he, according to Raul, is unhappy with. And it's an opening for Raul to expose this contradiction between NIST and NFPA. Glenn Corbett's a scientist. He's the guy that, according to Raul, is the keystone in getting this, you know, either rewriting the chapter 15, which is the whole you know, fire safety for our command centers, and he thinks that this is, you know, getting his ear is one of the best things that's come out of this. And so it'll be interesting how far he gets with it. But that guy would, change everything if he decided he was going to redo that report. So anyway,
Yeah, Glenn Corbett, as according to Captain Raul Angulo, was the top tier in the NFPA for actually getting things done. And he said when he talked to him back in the day about it, he wants absolutely nothing to do with the conspiracies of 9/11. But now that he's starting to address it in that manner of protecting firefighters, he's willing to listen to him. So,
Hi, sweetie.
yeah, I'm just gonna mute Sweetie.
Anyway, I wanted to interject quickly because I'm glad David brought it up. Because I've been thinking about it a lot in terms of how I'm going to approach the fire departments here in Manhattan, which of course are a bit different than approaching the fire departments around the rest of the country. So I kind of think the approach needs to be a little bit more forceful with the fire departments here. Obviously, they're not innocent in any way to what happened that day. And I was thinking, well, this going in the back door thing is really kind of a waste of time with the fire departments in New York City. However, I think the information they need to know is going on and going down with Papa. So I'm willing, to die on the hill, as Raul might say, because I'll be there in person. And I've handed out flyers to those fire departments, all of them here in Manhattan before. And I go by them on my skateboard with all my stuff on, my t-shirt, and they have their door open a lot of times, and there's guys just hanging out. And I'd almost rather than sending it through the mail and having it go through their censorship wing first, have it just be handed out right to the door to a guy there. And that event 2 or 3
Nope, you broke up there, Rob.
years ago, and it's also effective with throwing a bit of water on them. I mean, it's really those fire.
You're breaking up, brother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now we
Continue.
lost you complete. Hey.
Did you lose me? Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost you for about 20 seconds there.
Yeah, that's why I stopped my videos too. So anyway, getting a direct conversation with those guys, handing out this letter or with all the information on it about where they need to go to look, letting them know what's going on with this Papa and the convention, and basically just saying, are you guys ever going to do anything about this, or are you happy to just the status quo? I mean, I'm a New York City resident, and I'm in danger too if I'm walking around these buildings and you can't come in and protect them because they're going to come down on you. Are we ever going to do anything about it? Have you talked to your commander? Are you guys ever do you ever even talk about it anymore? I would like to, and that's a bit risky for me, but it's kind of something that maybe I won't do it unless I feel like they're open to that. But I think they need to be open to that, and this might be what opens the door. Is this
you need to sell them on the idea that you're concerned about their safety and that Papa, that's what it's all about. It's we're on their side. We're concerned, as all firefighters should be, that this is a serious issue. And it isn't a backdoor issue in my mind. It's dead on, straight ahead, approaching the average firefighter and saying, look, we got a problem. You go into these buildings and this is telling you that they're unsafe. And we want to have to figure this out. And we're concerned about, all firefighters' safety and come across in that manner. Don't try to sell them on anything else.
Yeah, I get a little frustrated passing them by and knowing that they've lost so many people and that they're willing to look the other way. So I would try to keep myself in check. I'm sure I would.
I guess the only reason we're saying it's back
to let them know what's going on with fires. And
wow, you're really garbled there, brother. I think the only reason we're saying it's garbled. The only reason we're saying it's backdoor is because ultimately we would like to see justice for the crimes of 9/11. But we do not want to see firefighters get hurt. So in that regard, we would be genuine. But ultimately, we want them to say, hey, wait a second, the NFPA needs to check NIST's, what NIST put out there.
Well,
The
yeah.
reason is, excuse me,
Okay,
the
David.
reason it's backdoor is the actual thing you're trying to get across is an if-then statement. If the NIST report is correct, then these buildings are a hazard.
Right.
But by what we're doing is, this approach is just asserting that conclusion.
Mhm.
It's just saying, look at the NIST report, therefore this. So we're not, the actual agenda is, you have to undo the logic. But by just asserting the conclusion without actually saying, this follows from that, that's the actual direct statement would be, the safety hazard follows from the NIST report.
Right. No, and I know what you're saying, but I think that instinctively every firefighter knows that no building would ever collapse that way.
Right.
So if they're presented with this fact of what NIST is saying, then I think we're operating on the assumption that every firefighter would say, what are you talking about? Of course, buildings don't fall down that way.
Right.
Of course, we trust setting up command centers on that floor, because we know from years and years and hundreds of years of experience that these are the safe places to do it. So we're expecting them to have this reaction, this pushback reaction, not to say, oh, well, if NIST says it's not safe, then, we have to rewrite the code. I mean, that's so not the way we want to go. We want them to have that pushback reaction of like, what the hell is NIST talking about? Of course they don't collapse that way.
Yeah,
So
I'm not disagreeing with the approach. I'm just saying you need to acknowledge that it's a backdoor approach.
Right,
Guerrilla.
it is.
I like
I think
guerrilla
everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Guerrilla tactics.
Those two
They're
firefighters,
backdoor people.
yeah, those
Backdoor
two
man.
firefighters you saw me interviewing, they caught on right away at the NFPA. I mean, I didn't even have to, say much at all. I mean, they said, well, obviously what what they're saying isn't true.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's the easiest sell in the world, really. I mean,
Mhm.
if you look at it from a sales approach.
Yeah, and the front door approach hasn't worked very well for us either. So, maybe the back door is worth a try.
Al, mention the sprinkler company.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There were two guys that showed up that were part of the, they were in the company that was, that had done the sprinkler systems for the World Trade Center and Building 7. And they were extremely interested in what we had to say. And they're being sued by Silverstein Corporation or whatever the guy. Because they claim that it was the sprinkler systems that weren't working in the World Trade Center that was the reason that, the fires brought the building down, along with Building 7. And they're in the courts right now. So they were, all over us, like, oh, we want to know more, what do you got, all of this stuff. And it was an amazing coup that they showed up. And so anyway,
Right there in the background. Sprinkler fitters save lives.
yeah, that's there you go, right? But it was we had a lot of, the one guy, the fire chief from Philadelphia, the Meridian Fire, was there, and he wanted to know a lot more of what we had to say. And we brought together a lot of people that didn't know much or didn't know that there were other people out there fighting the same fight. So Rule is going to be or probably already has talked to that guy. And one of the things that we're also trying to do is get these fire captains talking with each other, because they're sort of loose cannons. They're, they don't have any way to meet. And that's one of the ways, Papa is trying to bring these guys together
Mhm.
and have conversations about what they saw or what they know. And anyway, a lot of good stuff came from that convention.
I want to add in one more news item that I forgot about, and that would be Andy Steele recently interviewed Gene Johnson. Mechanical engineer Gene Johnson brings the WTC7 evidence to the American Society of Civil Engineers grassroots. So that is on AE's site and Andy's site. I got about a quarter of the way through the interview. The guy just monotone, so it kind of lost me, but good stuff to be updated on in there. To get a chance to hear that. All right, the table's up. Hi, Susan. Good to see you, sweetie. And I guess David, you were on that's the longest camping trip I've ever heard anybody be on. I think it was like 3 months.
2 months.
That's good.
Well, we have a fifth wheel, and I went to 4 different homeschool conventions.
Oh,
Yeah, my business in my retirement is I have recorded the entire high school math curriculum from algebra to calculus, and then I added in physics. So I have 6 courses, and I'm peddling them to homeschoolers. And so there were 2 in Texas and 2 in Florida. So that was our grand red state tour.
fantastic. Did you introduce any of them to the physics lab for chance?
What?
The physics lab?
I have a physics lab in which I have them measure building 7's downward acceleration.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
don't draw in any implications. I just said, here's publicly available footage of a significant public event. There
Mhm.
is a controversy out there whether this was at free fall or not. And it was claimed that it was 40% slower than free fall. But all the tools you have learned how to use, you can figure that out for yourself. You don't have to believe anybody. And so here's the data, here's the video, measure it.
That sounds a little backdoor to me.
Well, I didn't preach anything. I just said, hey, you can take the skills that you're learning and apply it to the real world. I have a section at the end of many of my chapters, not all of them, but it was science and society. And so, like, for instance, in the chapter on momentum, I had the, you take a fire hose, and if you aim it at a window, how much force is going to happen. That has to do with the rate of change of momentum and all that. And then I applied that to the Birmingham fire hoses on the protesters type of thing, and sent them to some footage of some of that. So that's the kind of thing I sometimes throw in there.
Nice.
There it is. So for anybody that doesn't know, I gotta share this.
So I've been urging other physics teachers to actually use this. Yeah, that's it right there. That's
Yes,
under
9/11
what, references?
911speakout.org references physics lab.
Physics lab, okay.
And he has all the downloads, the kit. You download the video.
So the kit includes calibration data, has the video, things like that, and a link to where you can download the tools. You can literally just go from that and duplicate my measurements.
Yep.
And I wish more people would actually do it, because there's actually insights that you get into what's going on when you actually start doing the real measurements and not just reading along somebody else's description. Because then you have to deal with the real world issues of jitter in the picture and, air currents and stuff like that. And you realize what's actually happening.
So he has the videos, all the videos are in here, a write-up on how to do it. And then you download the tracker software, which is what he uses, and you pick a point. You could even do this. You could stand outside, record a video of yourself dropping your keys.
Oh yeah, that's the
and
whole
put a
thing.
point.
They have been using this throughout the course. And like say, you just take a point on a bicycle wheel and you see how it goes along the cycloid, or you can take, various motions. Take a pendulum, take a mass on a spring, whatever it is, you can analyze it and gather the data using this tracker tool.
Mhm.
There you go. Boy, you got all that. Did you have that already downloaded?
No, I'm pretty quick.
Oh, wow.
So it's all right here to download and get.
Well,
and
yeah,
nothing-
you download, if you just install that, you can literally take any video clip
Mhm.
and, you know, toss a ball, track it. It should be a parabola. Look at the horizontal and look at the vertical. So the horizontal is going to be nice, linear, equal steps. The vertical is going to be a quadratic. You know, all of that shows up in there. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing this is useful for. And it was the insight that when I started asking questions like, boy, that looks like it's going awfully fast horizontally. So the first thing I measured was a big chunk of stuff being thrown horizontally out of the North Tower.
Mm.
And guess what? It's gone up around 60 miles an hour, more or less. I can't remember exactly, 50 something miles an hour.
Did you is that verified that that's not the aluminum cladding? That's an actual beam?
Oh, it's a huge chunk of stuff. Yeah, with
Okay.
a bunch of the white smoke being generated from it.
Mm-hmm.
How about that in that program? Is there a way to confirm that your speed of your video is accurate?
Well, the videos are standard format.
Okay,
I mean, they have different standards in Europe and so forth, but 30 frames or 29.97 frames per second is a pretty standard frame rate. And then you just have to make sure you got your original video. And so when I was working with architects and engineers
yeah,
on doing a lot of this original stuff, I was on their video team and I got introduced to Nate Flock, F-L-A-C-H, but it's like a K. Anyway, you know, I could say, I saw a certain video with certain characteristics and all that. Oh, I know which one that is. And he'd have a high quality copy in my inbox within the hour. I mean, he was excellent. And so having a team of people, and I learned a lot about, you know, characteristics of videos and all the rest, working with these guys. And Justin Keogh, I don't know if you know him, he was a significant figure in AE that stayed in the background, but he was on the board and so forth. But he was one of my go-to. You know, I had everything I did, I got internal peer reviewed from these guys, and they would critique the stuff and make sure I wasn't going off in a direction. Oh, this one, the one you're showing right now, you need to play that with good audio or headphones or something, because there's a boom that occurs just before that penthouse collapses.
Yep. You can actually hear it good on this one then, huh?
It's a very, and then if you analyze the sound waves and all that, it's a very sharp onset, like a percussion. It's not just boom, it's boom, you know, like that.
That would be, oh, Ray's all over that then.
Huh?
Ray is our in-house explosive expert. It's
Well,
if it's
go
a
for it.
boom, it's an explosion. If it's a whoom, it's a deflagration.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this one
The
was
big
an
boom, I'm the
explosion.
big boom guy.
Huh?
David's
I'm
right.
the
You
big boom guy.
you really have to listen when this part of the penthouse falls. Right before it falls, you do hear a boom.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad you could bring all this stuff up so quickly. You're doing
Yeah.
well.
Thanks.
You're fluent with Zoom here.
Thank you so much for all you've done in the past. We really
Can
typically
I
don't-
bring up one other thing since I'm here?
Sure.
Okay. And so this is, well, the fact that it's current is that it's being hashed and rehashed on Facebook right now. But some years ago, 2011, I believe, Frank Legg and I did a path analysis for this CIT tracks. In other words, the path that they're proposing for the plane. And we basically established with high degree of certainty that there is no way possible that a plane could follow those curves at the high speeds and the tight radius of curvature. And so that But so I posted a recent thing I did where I did a little tool where you can experiment with it. And the thing that really interests me in a weird sort of way is that I've gotten hundreds of responses on that, and absolutely nobody engages with the substance of that proof. It's literally a proof that the flight path proposed by CIT is impossible, and it's solid physics. And I did a second video where I actually go through and explain the physics of it. So I have 2 videos there, and anyway, I would be interested in people actually engaging with the assertions of that video, and not just talking around in circles, because it has implications. It's saying it didn't happen that way. So anyway, that's just wanted to put that out there. You've probably all seen, if you follow the Facebook stuff, it's on 9/11. Gene, are you the one who's the one behind? There you are. Are you the one behind the 9/11 Truth Movement site?
Sandra and I are adminning.
Okay, so it's all, the stuff is there. That's the one.
This is
And
the
I
post.
would be more than happy to engage with anybody who has any substantive questions on what it is I'm demonstrating or why it works or anything. Anyway, there you go.
Thank you. And I
Just
believe
wanted to call
you
people's attention to it.
did get a response, I believe, from Mark Shark on here. Where'd it go?
What did you say?
Mark Shark.
Mark
wait.
Shark started this whole thing off by look right there that says critiquing David Chandler's critique.
Yeah.
That's a hit piece. It is so slimy.
Yeah.
If you basically go through that, that was why I responded by trying to do a rational response to exactly what's going on. And so then I said, I got into a discussion with, if you scroll down a little bit, I got in with right there, Doug, Ashley, and a couple other guys. I got into a discussion with them, and I said, how about we take, they're bringing up everything under the sun. How about we take one point at a time? And so I started a new thread with 1 point, which is this curve. I did up a separate little overnight little video displaying how to use this tool I showed to actually experiment with it. If you think my initial conditions weren't realistic, try it some other way. Can you get the CIT paths to work with realistic results? You get stuff like 80 degree bank angles, things like that, which is crazy. Nobody observed anything like that, and the plane wouldn't hold together. So things like that were what I was bringing up, and lots of people responded, but it's all off-topic responses and going around in circles responses. Nobody is actually engaging with what I'm saying or its implications or
Right.
showing me wrong either way.
And that's the problem with social media, and people just cannot address, they can't answer a specific question, they can't address specific concerns. It becomes attacks very easily. I mean, it's just full of logical fallacies. But I would, if there's any way at all, and I know that you've been camping for a couple of months, but we'll have the next Pentagon call on July the 16th. That's next Saturday, yeah. And if there's any way that you can join, and if we can get Mark and Lorraine and a couple of other people to come on board, then maybe there is a possibility in a face-to-face to address specific points.
Yeah, Mark never joined the conversation. He posted the
was
original thing, and then I haven't heard from him since.
So the last 9/11 Pentagon discussions that we had, 9/11 War Room Pentagon discussion last month, Lorraine and Mark were there, and Xander was there to further discuss his angular camera thing, which you were starting to get into because it was actually something scientific. I would love to have all of you, and I realized, like Sandra said, you were on a camping trip, but if we could get everybody in there, and if everybody could remain civil, which is Sandra and I our biggest challenge in the 9/11 War Room, or not the 9/11 Truth Movement group, I'll just delete. And like Lorraine said at the end of this whole thing, I see 80 comments. Where is it here?
Yeah, 87
So now
comments.
there's 87 comments. I'm only permitted to see 30. That was because I deleted the other 53 or 57 because
No, but it's also because she's blocked by certain people, and so she can't see their comments.
which I don't. My thing is attack the evidence vehemently, but do not attack people. And I have to say, and I told Mark Shark this, that video that he put was just, it was
Slimy.
it was an attack. It was doing a lot of ad hominem attacks, and I just don't appreciate that. If you're going to attack the evidence, do it, but don't sit there and talk about people. And and Richard's Pentagon, I think everybody, and I say this as kindly as I can, you also kind of threw a little jabs in there too, but everybody was doing it. So
Doing what?
little like comments that are
Getting
like,
in their shots.
yeah, getting a little potch. Like Barbara did it a lot. Oh, the fourth theory is blah blah blah. It just was.
Hi, Fran.
Hi, Fran. There were like little
That
pot
word?
shots. Everybody was doing
Sandwich
little.
only, Eugene.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Hi, Fran.
David, what are your thoughts on Adam and Ed? Just
Adam
wondering.
who? Which Adam?
Yeah,
Adam
there's too many Adams.
Fitzgerald and Ed Broderton.
Well, I have Adam, say it again. Adam
Well, I'm just wondering what your,
Fitzgerald, okay.
yeah,
Oh, I've had a lot of interactions with him. He has some substance to offer, but he can also go off track and things like that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He's and Ed Brotherton.
yeah, he's another.
Yeah, I've had a number of interactions with him and I've been able to carry on decent conversations. And we don't agree on everything, I guess. I really don't even know exactly where he comes out on a lot of stuff. But so I don't have a problem with either of them, like I would, for instance, like you mentioned, Lorraine. I blocked Lorraine because she was just harassing me for, she could not get off of all the nuances of the taxi issue and stuff like that. And no, the taxi is not an issue, period, because I have good reason to show that the plane actually went through and there really were light poles being thrown around. So anyway, so I can't deal with her level of, I mean, I'm willing to talk to her or she'll talk to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's just throws barbs,
If everybody could keep it civil, I would really like to have a conversation, because you guys, while everyone's gone at everyone's throat, McKee and everyone's gone at everyone's throat, we've had everybody in the room and everyone's remained civil on our discussions. I think Sandra, you could agree, attest to that.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, because I want the kind of discussion where we can understand what is being presented. And the example I'm going to give you is Captain Lagasse, because he was brought up by both sides as making their case.
Yeah, right.
And I tried to follow that conversation through social media, through interactions, through people talking to. I never understood until the last Pentagon call what the hell the controversy even was. How can two opposing narratives take the same guy and say, well, he makes our case?
Because
no. Well, hold on.
Okay.
I have the answer to that now.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to tell you that the conversations get so derailed that they keep just throwing barbs at each other, that no matter how much I try to understand, like nobody could just lay it out. Okay, Captain Lagasse, this is the deal. We say he makes our case because of this and that. They say that they make their case because of this and that, and just lay out the facts. And then I can look at it and say, okay, I can see both sides, and then I can, start my own work. That's what's lacking right now. There's so much being thrown around. I have no information. I don't even know what's up against what. People claim witnesses here, other people claim witnesses there. What makes one witness more credible than another? What do you have to back up your witnesses? Those are the things that I, as someone who knows almost nothing about the Pentagon, would love to understand. But instead, every time a conversation starts, it's all about, well, you say this, rah, 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 and it's like, I don't care. I just want to, can we just factually lay out and address each other's points and say, okay, so if that's your point, this is why I have an issue with it. And this is
Okay.
my, you know,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Okay. I have spelled out my analysis of that Legacy interview in great detail in written form, and I followed it up by a video. Have you read what I wrote on the subject?
David, there is so much stuff out there. I would just love, I don't care, I don't even, that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid, all the
I'm
expressive-
trying to clarify what the
know.
issue is.
I
And
know,
I'm just
but I need to
saying
start
that
with the
I've
basics.
done that, and I get, nobody reads it. It's right there, you're practically pointing at it. Go down to critique of CIT. And then you scroll down, there we go. All right, that article right there spells, and then that top thing is a video which summarizes the article, doesn't cover everything. If you go through that, I am laying out the whole Legacy issue as I understand it. And if you want to have a conversation about it, you need to sort of see what I've said rather than bypassing all of that and then just trying to have a few words back and forth. It's a complicated thing, and I've laid it all out. But I actually have to, it really infuriates me. I can't get Richard to look at half of my videos. You know, you go into these things and, you know, he's going in half-cocked because he doesn't actually do his homework. But you guys need to actually look at this, because I make assertions, but I back them up with explanations and diagrams and everything. It's all there.
Right, but,
And
but
I'm
we
just-
need, but we need to have the counter argument, because
Well, you can get the counter argument at your leisure, but you need to actually, this is taking what's happening and
Would you
trying
mind
to
coming
put it in a context where you can see the whole picture. At least if you want to understand it from my point of view, you can't just ask me about it, because I would be quoting this whole big thing.
right, okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
If I read that,
Yes.
are you laying out what it is that you're critiquing? Or are you just
Absolutely.
putting out your theory? Because,
No,
Yeah,
okay,
he's-
well,
I actually include the entire video, the Pentagon video, which is CIT. Those two guys, they did an early video called Pentagon. And then they did a later version that's more polished with music and all that stuff, and they call that NSA, you know, National Security Alert. But Pentagon had a lot of raw, unedited footage in it that gives you a good idea of what was going on in that interaction behind the scenes that they cut out of their later video. And if you actually look at this, it gives you some understanding of how Legacy can absolutely, his most confident assertion is the plane hit the building. He was down on the grass all that day, and he said, you go in the building and the plane parts are everywhere. He's a strong proponent of the plane really hit, and he's offended by the idea that people would say it's faked. So
All
that's
right.
his starting point.
okay.
And he was
so-
attempting, by doing his line the way he did, hold it there a second.
Oh, sorry.
Go back there, okay? Look at the picture they had him draw his path on. It's a perspective drawing from an aerial shot above the north side of the Citgo gas station. Okay,
I
look
did
at the
call-
official path on this picture.
I
It looks
did-
like it's flattened up against the Pentagon. And Legacy, in the last part of, if you go through the video I show, in the last part of it, he's saying these angles are all wrong. And he starts trying to say that the light poles and the taxi were along this black line that he drew, because what he's really trying to say is the plane went through the light poles. That's right there in their video, and I'm simply pointing it out. His primary assertion is It's the real plane. It really hit the Pentagon and it really did light pole damage. And he got it wrong on this picture because that's a screwed up picture. And if you took instead a Google Earth looking straight down on all of this, he could have immediately gotten the angles right and it would have put his path right through the light
But in
poles.
the video, he clearly points in a different direction than
But
what,
also in the video, he's doing what I'm telling you. He does both. And so I basically look at how in the world could he believe that the plane hit the Pentagon and that it went through the light poles and then still come up with this other bizarre idea that it flew to the north of him. And I give an explanation, or I give a proposed scenario for how he could have. There, look at that. That's the top-down view. Over here on the left is your point to the Sitco station. There you are, okay? And if you draw the line here, see the overpass? If you go from the impact point through the overpass, that would put it at the correct angle that would have satisfied Legacy. And that's south of Sitco.
But I called you, Sandra and I were in New York last year. We called Legacy, and then I called you right after it.
I know.
And he
You won't
said,
talk about it.
he said, yeah, he did say that it passed over the stones of Arlington Cemetery, which that's these stones.
Mhm.
So I don't know how it could pass, how he can say.
I don't know. Well, he's wrong. It didn't go over there.
That's
but
what,
that's
And,
what he says he saw. And
excuse
this is
me?
where, questioning of witness testimony comes in. Because he's adamant about what he saw. And he doesn't say at any point that he saw the plane hit the building. It just says, and then the plane hit the building.
Read my article.
yeah.
He
Okay.
absolutely, he basically was not, he did not just witness it from the Sitco station. He was literally on site the entire day. And he was down there in the hole and he said he saw plane parts everywhere inside. And he made a special point. I mean, you can go on and on. There's other parts where he said he knows the difference between a explosion and a deflagration. This was definitely a deflagration. Whereas the CIT version would require that it be an explosion. You know, he said there was no shock wave. There's none of that percussion, none of that stuff. Please read the article.
Yeah,
Okay.
I lay it out
we'll do that this
so
week.
you'll know exactly where I'm coming from at least.
All right. Okay,
And there's a
Gene,
lot of background there.
Did
Gene,
you
you and
ad-
I will read
What?
through that.
Excuse me?
Sandra and I will read through that this week, and
Great.
hopefully you guys. I'm up. Okay, so I'll come to you 1 second, Ray, and I know you.
Ask
Al,
any
you wanted to say
questions
something.
you have if you come across them. All right.
So
go
there's
ahead.
a couple of things. McKee was supposed to do a thing he wanted to do on Lloyd England, but he wasn't there last month. We do it.
Yeah.
We're doing Pentagon discussions in the WarRoom once a month, on a Saturday, which happens to be
Mid-month,
this next
yeah.
Saturday. It'd be great if you could be there. Sandra and I will try our darndest to read through that and have it known for this Saturday. That way, it'd be great if you could speak on it. That way, all the naysayers will have their chance
Sure.
to civilly
Yeah.
say something.
And I'll send out an email in the invitation.
Yeah. Send
And
me a
I
link
will,
because
send
it's
them the
been a long
link.
time since I've gotten any original invitations to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure you're
And-
getting it. And we'll try to get as many people as possible who will attend the call to read that. And
Mhm.
we'll use that as the basis for the discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's
And
great.
please keep the discussion one person at a time talking,
Yes,
because
We try, we don't do too badly for the fact that we have so many opposing views on one call. Most times, I gotta tell you, it's pretty respectful and it's pretty decent. And every once in a while we have to rein it in, but it's extremely rare that anybody goes off track in some kind of disrespectful way.
Mhm. Cool.
okay, I'd be happy to join in. Just please send me a reminder.
Will
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Now we're gonna go to our good friend in the Netherlands, Ray.
Yeah,
Trying to do
yeah.
that- I was trying to do that
Yes, there were
dramatically.
explosions, Ray.
I'm waiting to hear about the farmers over here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, fill us in.
That's something else.
Okay.
That's something else. I'm not going into that one.
All right.
It's 9/11, but I'm curious because David is convinced that the explosion is not massive at the Pentagon, and
I didn't say not massive.
well, I have your words in a Facebook post.
Well, I'm just telling you now,
That-
it was a
that are your-
deflagration, like
Should I read your words? I can.
oh, excuse me. No, you're
you-
talking about the impact. We're talking about two different things. Were you talking about the impact, or what I call the impact?
No. I said there was a massive explosion, and you said there was no massive explosion. It's
Okay,
that simple.
I recall that
It's
now.
that simple. But you did it this week. But it doesn't matter. But it's. I reacted to that one a few comments later, in the sense from, is it your opinion, and how did you calculate that, and is it? But I didn't get the answer on that one. But you also mentioned in the legacy thing you were explaining that it was not a boom, and a lot of people at the Pentagon experienced it as a detonation, as a bomb going off, especially the people who did not see it, and even people who saw the explosion take place that were outside. They explained it as a 2,000-pound bomb detonating, and the sound of it, and I think that is the thing that we are not looking at, is the actual explosion. And I found 2 videos that have no sound, and I'll post them in the War Room comment section underneath the. Is there something I can hook it on to? Somewhere in the middle that everybody just can watch. You know, it's about what David, I have so much respect for you, because you taught me something in thinking about how you look at science. And science, the starting point in science, you said, is observation. And I'm very much there with you on that one, because if we do not look at what we can see, and then we are not looking at and then we can make things up. We have to look at the objective videos which were taken on that day to form an opinion. We agree on that one, but it's the explosion which it is taken for granted that it's there. But it's reading the building report, the Pentagon building report. The explosion itself is not calculated, and that's the thing. If you wanna disprove something in somebody's opinion, you have to really focus on the things he's not telling you, he's not describing. But it happened. We can all see the explosion. We can all see it taking place on those 2 security videos, but the explosion itself is not calculated. And an explosion, if you want to call it a deflagration or a detonation, but you do not you do not calculate the force of that explosion. You're doing something, you're leaving something out. And that's the thing with the Pentagon. It's not about, you can argue amongst one another, but it's not helpful. We have to really critical look at the official report. The official report states something. It was only the plane impact that caused the building to collapse. And that's their thought. And that they describe this in a way that they say the fire eventually weakened the reinforced concrete, and it made it collapse. That part of the Pentagon. And it was partly destroyed by the kinetic energy of the plane coming in. But they left out the explosion. And that's really important. It's an important factor, because the explosion caused the windows of the helicopter pad, there's a control tower on the firehouse, for the helicopters. There's the corner windows, a piece went through both corner windows. Both corner windows were broken in that attack. And that part is not mentioned in the Pentagon building performance report because it's not part of the Pentagon. But I've seen images of people taking out that glass, which was broken. And there's a lot of we do not know about the Pentagon because we're not looking at it. And that's why I want to post two, it's one video, but it's actually two videos taken right after the attack, which shows an immense amount of destruction, fragmentation, and the follow-up of that attack. And if you look really close at that thing, you can also see human body parts outside.
Okay, can you put the link in the chat and maybe Jean can share it?
Yeah, but it's a long one.
I just
Oh.
wanted.
It's not for now. I'll post it in the war room as a separate thing. Just watch. I really want to stress people just to, before you have an opinion, first study it in all things for yourself. Because if you go with one vision of a person, you're inclined to reject the other person's opinion. And it's very dangerous to attack one another. Yep. Because we are fragile. We are all with our own thoughts and ideas, but it's getting down to the factual things that we're not not making a story up, which was not even there. It's like no planes in New York. It's a stupid idea, because if you look at the footage, you can see planes. It's so not necessary to have a discussion about that, because our discussion has to be, did the NIST do their work? Yeah. Did they do their work? Did the Pentagon building performance report do their work in explaining all? And that is what I'm going at. And you know, hit me, but it's not about me. It's about getting to the official stories, taking them apart with all the knowledge we have. And we have a lot here combined. We have a lot of knowledge.
I appreciate that, Ray. I gave you a free rein there for a while. And David as well, because technically in the 9/11 War Room Sunday calls, we don't want to get into the details of evidence. We really wanted to stay at a 30,000 foot level and talk about strategy, updated news, updated, legal avenues and things like that. We kind of got into the weeds here, but it's not every day that you get David Chandler to come in. So yeah,
I just thought I would touch base.
Yep, I dig it. So on that note, I'm going to share my little thing. David Cole sent me this photo a long time ago, and it says, Gene, what do you think that is? Yeah. And from what I could tell, that's not aluminum, that's steel. And for steel to fly off of the Pentagon fast enough to bury itself in a tree, something.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is
so
amazing.
Powerful. Yeah, so powerful what happened there. It's amazing to not have the Pentagon building a report, explaining the blast pressure which took place, which there's so much about that building that it was exploded, that we have to really dig into this explosion.
Yep. Thank you. We should continue this on the Pentagon discussions this Saturday.
Gene, can I just interject one thing?
Sure, we all have.
I know you didn't want to bring anything up related to Adam Fitzgerald, but I don't know if David is aware of his critique of Adam Eisenberg. He did a video today, I believe.
Well, let me interrupt you on that. So Fitzgerald and what we friendly call the Rude Boys, they would align themselves with David Chandler, and that a plane did hit 757. They would be against Adam Eisenberg, him stating that there isn't a plane. So I
Well,
guess.
basically, Adam Eisenberg claimed there were no parts inside the Pentagon, as far as I could tell, what he was saying. Is that correct?
Well,
That's what
I
he says, but he says he didn't see any.
He didn't see any. Okay,
That's all he's,
right.
I would also like to correct that because Ed Brotherton and I agree on this. It's not that there weren't parts, it's that they weren't cataloged. And as far as we know, they're not stored anywhere. So the government is kind of obfuscating that part of the story.
there are photographs of people going around with a camera documenting pieces that they're picking up. So they got a photograph of the piece in the position it was in. And I think they really do have a catalog. They're just not releasing it. And that's one of the things that we need to get on a FOIA.
So Dave Cole did share with me that numerous times he's requested that and they won't release it. So
That could, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's happening. They're not
that's the
releasing.
government. The government's, so when people say there's no plane parts, well, it's not entirely true because the government's obfuscating any proof that we would have that there are plane parts. So it's
Same way with the cameras, right?
yeah.
There were so many cameras. There was so much pictures. You know, you think you've seen it all, but Adam brought up this guy. He was having this
Which Adam?
fitting with his it's, I don't know his name, but I checked him out, and he's a real big YouTuber and
Lee Wheelberger.
yeah, Wilberger. But he has some video which his team took on 9/11, which I never seen. I never saw it.
He meaning
that-
Adam or he meaning Wilberger?
No, Wilberger. Wilberger has. I'll put it also in the war room because these are fascinating pieces of history which we do not see. It's like the cleanup of the FBI. It's learning that they did three swipes of the lawn three times, and what they picked up at that in these swipes has never been presented in any report. We do not know if they collected human body parts, but if you listen to policemen that were there and were on the helipad, they said they saw human body parts. It's like the FBI took a fragment out of the picture, and that's why we are fighting one another. It's this fragment. It's this fragment which we are not that we are not getting seen is dividing us.
Yep.
And we have to focus on the fragment which is not explained by FOIA, by getting to what we need all the photographs which were taken on that day on the lawn outside of the Pentagon. And there were many, there were NTSB, there were FBI, there were so many people taking photographs. I've pictures of people taking photographs.
In my
So many.
opinion, we should focus on the thing that we absolutely can prove, and that is that buildings don't fall at free fall acceleration. But I digress.
And that explosives were used on that day. And that's the most important part. Explosives. If you say nanothermite is an explosive, that's not true. It's used in explosives, but on its own, it's not an explosive.
I just want to go on a tangent here real quick. Hey, Ray, where in the Netherlands are you? You up north?
Arnhem.
Where at?
Arnhem.
I don't know what you're saying.
ARN
ARN
H
H.
A
Oh,
M.
there it is. Let's see where.
It's in the middle.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're really close to Germany. All right.
Yeah.
Ah, I just wanted to know. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not too far from Amsterdam. I might have to come pay you a visit someday.
You're always welcome, Gene.
Excellent.
We're one big family. We, you know, it's great to have these
Yes.
interactions. And when you started this war room, I really, you know, it's so good to have a visual of people and talk with one another. Get after the writing words on whatever kind of media, but seeing each other face to face, and it's so important because it's really, we were not told everything what happened on the day, and that's really important to understand that pieces were left out.
Mhm.
And,
Thank you, Deb, for being here too. I didn't get to say hello to you. Hope you're all
Yes.
well there in New York with Ross.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Deb.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Hi, Ross.
Deb.
Hi,
Hey.
Dean. Hi, Sandra. Hi, everybody. Yeah, you know, I don't tune in that much, but I'm always interested in the discussion. And, you know, it occurred to me, September 11th is only less than 2 months away.
Yep.
So I'm here in New York, and I'm back in my apartment with a little extra room. So just keep that in mind when you're making plans.
Yeah, we're 2 months and a day, and I was planning on being there the week previous to 9/11 because 9/11's on a Sunday, so I was thinking of doing stuff out in the street, building up for that week. I really wanted to harp on the litigation in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, so I wanted to demonstrate Fully Square. I don't know how busy Fully Square gets on the weekdays, Monday through Friday. But saying, you know, they've been sitting on it now since.
It's busy. It's
Gee.
busy.
Oh, is it?
Well, more so during the week than on the weekends, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
all the business people coming in and out
yeah.
are gonna be, yeah.
So January 21st, Mick Harrison presented his oral arguments to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals saying, look, we have a First Amendment right, and the U.S. Attorney has their duty, according to federal statute 18 U.S.C. 3332, to present the evidence to the grand jury. So it's just like, I think there should be millions of people in the streets saying, we demand our constitutional right and for you to honor your duty to present this evidence to a grand jury. It's just mind numbing. But that's what I plan on arguing about. Go start thinking of it, because like Sandra pointed out, last year at this moment, we were all jumping ugly about the 21st or 20th anniversary. We were
Yeah,
well
we
in
were
the way of
racing
planning.
against time at this time of year to make sure we finished the poll and got all the preparations and the fundraising. I mean, we were like in the final stretch at this time of year. We'd started like in January.
Mhm.
Whatever happened to the poll? I never heard anything more about it.
We did it, but nobody utilized it for anything.
Richard just asked me to write up a piece about it. I don't know why it hit his screen just recently. We have all the results, the stats, all the graphics that Gene made for every question that was asked. And so I just last week when when Gene was out watching Roger Waters with his son, because we found out too late that I was going to be there during that week, I took that evening to write up that article.
Mhm.
And so Richard has it now, so I'm not exactly sure what he plans to do with it, but he may just revive it and revisit it and do something with it. So, but yeah, it went under the radar because we did it under the TAP banner, and TAP was under reconstruction. So they didn't really focus on it on their website. We put it up, we shared it on social media, but yeah, you're right. Nobody really took it to any other place to do anything significant with it.
What were the big takeaways? Were that more people are becoming aware? Like
A lot
this
more
one.
people that knew about 7. A
Yeah.
lot more people
You're like,
questioning it.
oh, it's only about 50-50. But from last year, it was like 35%. So there was a dramatic increase in people
Yeah, there's
becoming
a big
aware.
increase, yeah.
Um,
And even in people, and also what was interesting, because on my international call, I have a guy called David Palmer, who lives in Australia and who asked me for all the breakdown of the stats. And he actually checked into the age groups, and he basically saw that people questioning the official narrative, by and large, are much more in the younger categories, the under 30s, than in the 30 and up. So it seems that the people who are older are more entrenched in their beliefs of believing the official narrative. And right now, our strongest asset would be the young folks. They're either questioning it or rejecting it outright, but they're a lot stronger in numbers than the older ones.
mhm.
So that's something to keep in mind as we try to reach out. You know, we would love to have a couple of outspoken younger, you know, guys or girls that would be willing to, you know, take the torch and run with it for a little while.
One thing that I've discovered is that the chiefs and most of the officers in the fire departments are political appointments, and reaching out to the foundational level of firefighters, and they're usually younger and much more able and probably a lot more receptive than the chiefs and officers and
I
my
have no
county
doubt.
administrators.
I have no doubt.
Mhm.
And
Ross?
it's still more of a young person thing to be rebellious, right? To push back against the establishment. So that's where we would find the strength of those who, you know, might want to step up a little bit more forcefully.
Gene, can you forward that poll? I saw that once before, but I'd like to post it on our site.
Yeah. Oh, you want just that one graphic? I
Yeah,
can send,
graphic,
I have
yeah.
graphics for every question. I mean, Gene
Well,
has them too, but
Not, I don't know, is there like a summary of it or something?
there is. I think there's two summaries. There's one that Richard Ellifritz did, and there's the one that Gene did. And they both basically give a recap of the takeaway.
Right, that's kind of what I wanted to put up there.
Sandra, if you could get that, because
Yeah, I can just.
cool. Ross?
Yeah, so thanks, Sandra. That's the perfect segue for what I was going to say. You know, last week I talked about we're going to rebrand or update the brand, the 9/11 Truth Movement for the younger people. So great thing happened this week. I was at a event where there were a lot of younger people in their 30s. And what did they have? They had logos like the ones that Gene has just put forth recently, but they were temporary tattoos, which last a while. And so that's a way right there. You can make a real connection with the person, because you're not just going to give them the tattoo and say, oh yeah, take it to your friends and everything. You're going to say, okay, we'll put it on for you right now, because it's a temporary tattoo and you just need water and you put it on. And those tattoos are going to be the, you know, the Einstein sticker. I've got a good one of the towers that says FU on it. And you can have the code, the scanning code for the most recent websites. And this is a way for the young people to take it away with them and to have it with them for a while. And believe me, there is a lot of activity right now in New York City in terms of people getting out of their COVID shells. And I'm encountering a lot of very positive and a lot of very aggressive people against my message about, you know, 9/11 truth in again, the younger category, or where the real activity is. And so it's a very fertile ground right now for people to really, you know, be aggressive about, you know, defining themselves as where they stand on the issue among young people here in New York City. So we got to get the, you know, temporary tattoos up for the anniversary. And then I'll just finish with, also I want us to redefine and really latch on to, I've noticed they've done it and did on Facebook already, but we are really identified. I always get it whether a side supports me or they're against, is that we've really seized, and the older people have seized on this idea that we are the truthers. So there's a label about being a truther. I think we should really seize and hold on to that. I mean, that's identified with the 9/11 truth movement, even more so than conspiracy theory. And most of the people are now against it, are trying to redefine, say, conspiracy theory a lot, but most of the people that are out there still think of the truth or something that, whether they agree with it or not, is about 9/11. So I want us to grab that in some of our messaging. It's like, yes, we are the truthers. And then we can say, aren't you a truther? Are you not a truther? Are you a myther? I mean, what are you? I mean, so there's a lot of great messaging and a lot of great sound bites for the younger generation that we can put in there. We can get them on tattoos, temporary tattoos. It's not expensive. The last thing I'd say is I'm asking a big favor of Sandra and Gene. So I need you guys to come get a van with the 9/11 stuff on the van. There's a race that goes down through Death Valley. It's a bike race. And it goes from one end of Death Valley through Death Valley. It's 110 miles. So I want to be in that bike race with my skateboard, but I want to start on the other end. and come at them, you know, just because they really basically go uphill, the bikes in Death Valley. It's pretty flat, but they go uphill. Well, I could never make it on that skateboard going uphill for 110 miles in Death Valley. I'm 58 years old. But however, but I need a van following me. You know, it takes days, this race. It's a famous race. It takes a few days. I need somebody in a van with all the stuff in the water for me and emergency resuscitation for me to be able to do a race like that with the 9/11 Truth Board. But maybe we can I can get a young person to do that. I mean, I know some skaters, very young athletic skaters, that if we can get them in the truth movement, we can get them, and then maybe we can start a race in Death Valley, going through Death Valley. I mean, this shows our sacrifice and our commitment to, you know, do this race and be able to go and do it. Another thing we might be able to do is a Route 66. You know, that's for young people in a, you know, mythological kind of fantasy, but very real place in America. You know, a nice long race along Route 66. Maybe it's even a bike race for truthers. But it's truthers, it's tattoos, it's, you know, some of these more athletic, younger person oriented type of, you know, wow, gotcha kind of stuff that they put on TikTok. But, you know, frankly, it's, I think that's a very healthy thing to do, and a very thing that we need to get syndication. We're not going to get covered by the mainstream media, but I can guarantee you, if we do something like a Death Valley race, there's going to be some of the alternative media that's going to cover it, and cover it big time amongst young people. So that's what I have to say about that. I just want to make sure that I get these tattoos going for the 20th anniversary. And again, when we hand them out, we'd be prepared to put them on the person. We don't just let them take it off and throw them in the garbage if they're working against us. They have to, like, they take a tattoo, it's like, yeah, well, you have to wear it. We're not just giving you, you know, so where do you want us to put it, you know? So we're tattoo artists. And anyway, I think I was very happy about those things this week that happened around me, and a lot of the activism. I had some very aggressive confrontation, which I prepared for, but I haven't had it happen during the COVID era. I mean, people have been more silent or supportive, but now it's starting to become more aggressive with people against you. And I have my argument. It's the 2-second law of Newton's fourth law of impossibility. I call it the 2-second rule, which is, the one where, you know, how the towers only gave 2 seconds of additional resistance to thin air. I mean, that's the timing that's involved with that. Strongest structural steel frame in world history gave a mere 2 seconds. It's a healthy structure underneath of resistance to the top, versus if you just dropped it over into thin air. That's for me, is all I say to those people. They always think it's about melting steel, et cetera, but for me, it's about the timing, how quick everything fell.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say for now.
So just a couple things you said there, the young people, getting young people involved. I know Adam Fitzgerald just bashes me left and right on the stickers. They put stickers everywhere. Like, okay, it's getting in touch with the young people. And all I can tell you is my credit card that I use, I put my sticker on it. And when I hand it over there, if it's a young kid at a fast food restaurant, they're like, oh, that's cool. And then I go, here, have one. And I give them a couple stickers. And then they're putting these, and I can't see it, the 9/11 what the fuck squared. And they just like the Einstein picture.
And then at this party that I was at, they put these tattoos out on the table. I thought, oh, well, no one's gonna want that. I didn't want to do it, you know. And it was like they were gone, and everybody had them on. Like they had put these temporary tattoos on with water. And it was like, and they weren't even part of the party. It was just like, I want to put on. A lot of people are trying to get tattoos, these younger people, but they're not sure what they're going to think of them. So they want to just test out different things and
trendy little things.
And so maybe we can get some of them to do permanent ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
When we were at the amusement park last week, July the 4th, we were standing in line, and Gene had his one of his shirts. Anyways, it was one that showed the country, like it was a half patriotic, half 9/11 truth shirt. And while waiting in line, there's a guy who tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Yeah, I love your shirt and what it says." And he had his kid with him, and the kid was 14, and started a whole conversation with us about 9/11 and how things don't add up. And I'm like, you know, how? And anyway, so Gene gave him the stickers that he had, And the kid was thrilled. It was just
Yeah.
like, woo, I love
Yeah.
these stickers.
Yeah, that's usually, I've run across a lot of those parents with their kids that are about that age and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what they're gonna say. And they're the ones that come out real forceful, and then the kid is of course reinforcing it. A lot of times they've heard it from the kid or vice versa. It's
It was the face of it's on the shirt you got on there.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
I wore
that
that
was
for the
one.
4th of July
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
at Kennywood Amusement Park with Sandra. Yeah, the father then tapped me on the shoulder, and the son, which I believe was autistic, but he had a good little knowledge of 9/11 there, although they'd never heard of World Trade Center 7, but they did
Right.
then.
Surprisingly.
As we go on a roller coaster that drops at free fall acceleration. I do also want to say this real quick on this poll that we had. One other thing I wanted to point out real quick. Which one was it? This one. Richard Ellifritz actually does surveys like for a living or something, not for a living, but
Well, he was involved with a couple of big surveys as part of his,
and
Yeah.
they typically don't want to ask loaded questions, but he allowed this one. Are you aware that there's currently an ongoing legal proceedings attempting to investigate a grand jury or initiate a grand jury investigation into the events of 9/11? 30% said no, or 30% said yes, 70% no, but they are now. I mean, it's a loaded question because, yeah, everybody that answered that day definitely knows about it now. So.
right.
Guerrilla tactics, whether it's going through the NFPA, whether it's a physics lab, whether it's a poll question, t-shirt, stickers, whatever you guys can think of to put it in somebody's mind to think about 9/11. We're all going to do it differently. We all have our own, what appeals to us, and
Right.
our own skills and talents and gifts. And I love you all for it. Anyone else, anything? I think we maybe just go through around the room now. A good break. I'm going to start from the rear, at least on my screen. Deb Lee, anything for the group for this week?
No, just a hello, and hope to see you all in New York.
Right on. Ross, you got anything for the group? Oh, you're muted, brother.
Yeah, one final thing I wanted to mention about us as a group of the people, particularly here today. Yeah, so many of us are very good citizen investigators. Myself, I'm satisfied with what I know about what I think happened, enough for me to think about what I want to do in other venues. But I think what we all do agree on, and one big theme, besides being truthers, that we can agree on is that 9/11 was a theatrical event. Okay, it was a very well-planned theatrical event from the highest levels. We were lied to about it. It wasn't a terrorist, surprise event. It was a theatrical production.
It's the whole idea of it.
And I think everybody in this room, no matter what you think about any of these different issues, or means and methods, or what actually happened on the day, we all agree it was very highly theatrically coordinated. Even down to the Pentagon, I'm sure. We believe, maybe. I don't know much about the Pentagon, but so that's another theme I always like to start talking about is the fact that, well, what do you think? Why was the government, what had happened that day? Well, it was a theatrical event. And so that can bring a lot of people under the tent. I'll just end with that.
Yep, shock and awe.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Ray, anything for the group?
Yeah, I put the links in the chat so you can rip them, copy them, paste them, look at them, study them. maybe you'll get a sense that, hey, my train of thought is it doesn't match up with what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm propagating is we have to really start looking at 9/11 in a different perspective, in the sense that we also have to look at things that we did not know. Like the piece from the North Tower. It's very important piece. Never studied, not by NIST, how it got there. Very important. It's these things we have to really open our eyes, because the truth is really, it's in front of us. It's that simple.
I agree.
I like them a lot.
For those that don't No, Chandra pointed this out in the chat. There's 3 little ellipses, or there's 1 ellipse. I don't know if they know how to say that. Anyways, the 3 dots on the bottom right hand corner, you click on them, you can save the chat. So instead of copying each link.
Oh, that was Michael Atkinson.
Oh, okay. But there's that there. I want to thank you for that. And to segue to David, what you were just talking about it with up in New York, you really got to look at what we have, what we've already been given, and just dissect it, look at it in a new light. So David looked at some of the pieces that were flying off of the World Trade Center towers and noticed that there's a white smoke coming off of these pieces in free fall. And that's not dust, and that's not gypsum, and that's not fire smoke. That's,
As you know.
that would be the
Aluminum oxide.
thank you. Aluminum oxide from the reaction with nanothermite. So interesting. And David, anything for the group?
I pretty much had my say today.
Thank you. Welcome back.
So I'll try and be there if you send me an email with the link to the Zoom, I'll try and be there on Saturday.
Yep.
David, while you're here, I got to ask David a quick question
Go
about,
for it.
you know, the ghost spires. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken much interest in, to me, that looks like they're in free fall straight down, which to me is very
that's a natural collapse. There's actually a lot of dust and so forth associated with them.
Yeah.
So people think and that's why they get the name like that. But you can actually see them in certain angles. You can see them tipping over and things like that.
It seems to me like the base comes out. They stop waving around. I've seen
Well,
it.
if you have a long, thin structure,
Right,
it tends to be unstable.
right.
And even if it's sort of enough to hold it together, it easily buckles
Like balancing it.
and so forth. So
yeah, but
a
it's
long,
all
thin
over
spire like that
Yeah.
isn't going to stay up for the long term.
Yeah, but no, I understand that, but
Like right there, you can see it, right?
yeah.
And so it stands there for a little bit, and then
Now,
it
right.
wobbles, and then it actually falls over. The thing breaks
Right
off
now.
the bottom or something, and it
Right now.
just collapses. There we go. So it looks like it broke off or buckled down near the bottom, and it just came down.
So you can
And
see the
I don't
top of the
believe it's
column
free fall,
there.
but
To me, it
This-
seems like it would tip over, it wouldn't come straight down.
well, if it's buckling at the bottom,
Yeah.
I don't see anything there that's going to lead anywhere. I mean, that's
Okay.
why I'm aware of that. I've been aware of that for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
And some people have come up with all kinds of,
The Judy Woods-
explanations, but I don't think anything is
Yeah, I'm
particularly
not
significant.
talking about the directed energy things,
Yeah.
but
Directed
it's
energy
like the
weapons.
base
Oh,
dynamically-
well, I don't even pay attention to that.
Judy
Yeah,
Woods would
right.
say it's being dustified right there, but what you can see is just the dust. static.
Justification is not a thing. Judy
Right.
Wood can't
Right.
even define it.
So it's
I know, to me, it just seems more like it's a dynamic
it's
collapse,
dust.
but that
dust.
the bottom is taken out, and I don't see how the structure could have done that. I would think that would need to be a detonation that takes
It's-
out the base. My
it's-
thought is that they missed that. That part of the wireless detonation wasn't reached because I think the detonations happened from the Deutsche Bank. But anyway, to me, it doesn't seem, as a structure like that, and as a structural engineer, it seems like it would definitely want to fall over, but not come straight down. And there's various other angles that show it pretty much it's coming straight down and fast, see, that's fast.
But
Yeah.
even
Well,
then, you can say-
buckling makes
Oh,
sense,
Lord, I can't
and I
get a
think
word
that's
in.
what's going on.
Yeah, okay.
I want to say one sentence. What you're looking at is dust statically sticking to the column. And then when it falls through that dust. And they're saying it's disappearing there. It's being vaporized. That's not as vaporized. That's the dust hanging in the air from the
It's a
column. that's
dust
dropping
trail,
right-
basically.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's all. That's why Judy Woods people kill me.
But it could be free fall because it's going fast, and that's also possible by taking it out from the bottom.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
really looking at things and then trying to project your thought on it is not science. It's
Right.
you can
Remember-
ask questions about what you're seeing. That's really good. That's science. But if you only have this and you project you have to believe that this is dustification, and what Gene said, it's a dust coming off the structure, and that's seen in the air. We don't have to make 9/11 that complicated.
Right.
All
It's
right.
not
I
David,
guess my point is just that the bottom base of that column is by far the strongest. You know, they telescope.
Yeah, but you don't know what hit it. It's out of the picture. You can make it up. You can make,
had
you
to
can
hit it
make
and
it.
take it out
I understand,
all at
Ross.
once.
I understand you, but you can make things up. But what you see is correct. It's coming down really fast. And that's possible.
David Cole did point out that he found it through other pictures and photos that was one of the core columns. I believe it was the southwest core column of World Trade Center 1. If I'm correct, I might be wrong, but talk to David Cole if you want to know any more about which column that was. All right. Any more, David? Thank you.
I just think free fall would be expected in that case. It's nothing anomalous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Lawrence, anything for the group? You're muted.
Just one quick clarification of definition. Terrorism is an act, a political act, not an act by a particular, it's a tactic. It's not, terrorists at the highest levels of the United States government, for instance. This is an act of terrorism. 9/11 was a very dramatic act. Just to clarify the term, the people that perpetrated this are indeed terrorists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just not in the traditional term of what people mean.
right.
It's in the defined term of what terrorism is. It's what terrorism is. It's a political persuasion by force.
Shock
Agreed.
and awe.
Yep.
Thank you. Alfred?
Oh, me?
Yep, you.
Well, just getting back to my, anybody that has any ideas for approaching the anti-war group, which is something I'd want to keep harping on, getting the message out to them. And I'm going to be talking to Eric Lawyer at 8:30. And I don't know if anybody has any questions for him, but we're going to be talking about the letter.
The letter, yep. Thank you. Sandra?
Oh,
Yeah. I just
Oh.
wanted to make something. Did
Go
you want to
ahead.
say something, Lawrence?
Yeah, I gotta go back to Susan, but go ahead, Sandra.
No, go, Susan.
Yeah, so yeah, questions for Eric Lawyer. Give me a call later.
Okay.
Okay.
While you're there, do you have anything for the groups on? Or, geez, oh man, it's messing me up with the S's. Susan?
Well, everything is pending right now with the Lawyers Committee, but just let you know that things are moving forward. Stop that.
I'm just making you visible.
And stay tuned because we have a film coming up.
Yep.
And we have litigation that's moved into deposition. So things are moving forward. We just can't report anything yet. So don't give up on the Lawyers Committee. We're definitely moving forward.
Beautiful, thank you.
I think you got the strongest advocate of the Lawyers Committee right here. You're staring at him. So,
Very,
yeah, that ball's not getting dropped anytime soon.
right on.
And it's nice to have you be able to fill us in because, Mick, obviously, we wouldn't ask him to come in on every call unless there was something significant. But, if you can give us the small scoops that you're allowed to share. Then that's great.
Mick is busy as hell.
I know, we know.
Yeah, busy as got way more on his plate. We haven't updated our website. He's no longer executive director.
Right, yeah,
It's Jane Clark now.
right.
And she's also busy as hell just administering.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much it takes to administer a national nonprofit. You have to register with 46 different states.
Jeez.
And it's insane how much paperwork she has to shuffle and push through. Absolutely insane. So
Yeah, I can see
please
how
have
Mick,
patience with us. We're doing the best we can. We need a lot of support.
So
Yeah.
real quick, before I go to Sandra, this is news to me that Mick stepped down in the Janes and I must have missed an email.
oh, that
or
was
something.
months ago. That was like last September, wasn't it?
Is it, you say
Yeah,
there's a,
well, I
where's-
think it was
where is this on your
November.
site? Where is it?
No, that's Boston 9/11 truth.
Yeah, you need to go to lawyers committee.
Oh,
LC for 9/11 inquiry.
9/11 lawyers. Yep.
9/11 lawyers, for
Yeah.
short.
So that's not even the latest update here.
No, and I've been complaining to our webmaster that they need to update it. They still list Jane as treasurer, and I'm the treasurer now.
Oh. See, all
yeah.
this is new to me. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully he'll get that updated within the week, because it's really ridiculous that it's not updated yet.
Yeah. So where can I read about this then?
What I just reported
Okay.
about
Thank you.
about the litigation, you can't yet, because
Okay.
there's not much we can publicize yet for legal reasons.
But as far as Mick stepping down and you becoming,
Yeah,
guess-
there's no place you can read about that, but
Well,
yeah.
thank you for the
It does
report
need
then.
to be updated, and it will be.
Thank you so much. Love it. Glad you're part of it.
Yeah,
Mick is still on the board, but he needed to be freed up for his legal work.
yeah, I can see how his time is better spent than having to file paperwork just to be registered.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good. Sandra, anything for the group?
Yeah, no, just a comment I wanted to make earlier when Ross was talking about going to fire stations, and he made that comment.
Yeah.
Are you going to do something about this? And I think that's a great question to ask. And in literature that we give out, or in any kind of way, you can insert
Very
that.
tasty stuff.
It is.
Not, aren't you going to do something about it, or you should do something about it? Just the question, are you going to do something about it? A very neutral, yes or no question to put in people's heads, just to say that they can do something about it. And we're asking them if they will. And I think that's a very powerful message.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Cool. Thank you. I don't have anything further. I thank you all for taking this little bit of your Sunday with us. Have a great evening and a great week.
Yeah, and for those of you that want to join the Pentagon next Saturday.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Um,
Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, Deb.